Hey everyone. Have you ever felt like you couldn't do something important just because of who you are? Maybe because you are a kid, or a girl, or because someone said you weren't smart enough? Well, imagine living in a time when grown-ups, just like you and me, felt like that too, but for much bigger reasons. Imagine a world where people weren't free to speak, to learn, or even to fly, not with real wings, but with the wings of their dreams and their minds. Today, we're diving into a super special book that tells a story about just that. The Invention of Wings by Sue Monkhead. This book isn't just a story. It's like a secret window into the past, showing us how to brave women, one black and one white, living in a time of deep unfairness, found their own ways to fly. It reminds us that fighting for what's right and finding your own voice can change everything. The main theme of this book is all about freedom for everyone in every way. The amazing person who wrote The Invention of Wings is Sue Monkhead. She's really good at writing stories that feel super real, even when they're set a long, long time ago. She writes both exciting novels and true stories. You might know some of her other popular books, like The Secret Life of Bees or The Mermaid Chair. Sue Monkhead is known for taking real historical events and people, and then imagining what their secret feelings and unheard thoughts might have been like. For The Invention of Wings, she was inspired by the real lives of the sisters Sarah and Angelina Grimké, who were famous for fighting against slavery and for women's rights. She also learned a lot from old quilts made by enslaved women that told hidden stories. She even visited the Grimké family's old house to get a true feel for their world. Our story has two main heroes, two girls whose lives get mixed up in a really big way. First, we have Sarah Grimké. She's a white girl, born into a very rich family in a fancy city called Charleston. Sarah is super smart and loves books more than anything, but she feels trapped because, in her time, girls weren't supposed to be smart lawyers or leaders. They were just supposed to get married and run a house. Sarah also hates that her family owns slaves. She knows it's wrong deep in her heart. She tries very hard to be good and do what's right, even when it's scary. Then there's Hetty, or Handful, Grimké. Handful is an enslaved girl. She's strong, clever, and sometimes a bit sassy. Handful's mama, Charlotte, tells her amazing stories about their family in Africa, where people used to fly a secret rebel. She tells Handful the stories that keep their hopes alive and teaches her how to fight back in quiet ways. And then there's Nina, Sarah's younger sister. Nina is also very smart and brave, and she grows up to be a powerful speaker, fighting for both enslaved people and for women's rights, just like Sarah. Finally, we hear about Denmark Vesey, a real historical figure. He's a free black man who plans a big slave revolt in Charleston, inspiring many, including Handful's mother. The Invention of Wings takes us back to the early 1800s, mostly in a very old city called Charleston, South Carolina. Imagine a place with beautiful, grand houses, fancy parties, and people dressed in elaborate clothes. But underneath all that beauty, there was a terrible secret. Most of these families owned other people as slaves. The story also takes us later to places up north like Philadelphia, where people were starting to fight against slavery. The big idea, or core concept, of this book is to show us how two very different girls, one who has everything but feels like she has nothing, and another who has nothing but still holds onto so much hope, fight to be free in a world that tries to keep them both down. It's about how their lives twist and turn together, and how they both learn to find their own voices and stand up for what they believe is right. Let's break down this amazing story into three big parts, like acts in a play. Act 1. The beginning of a bond and a battle. Our story starts with Sarah Grimké as a young girl in 1803. She gets Handful as a birthday present when they're both just kids. Right away, Sarah knows it's wrong to own another person, so she tries to write a paper to set Handful free. But her mother tears it up, saying that's just our way of life. This is a big moment for Sarah. showing her how hard it will be to change things. Even though it's dangerous, Sarah secretly teaches Handful to read. For Handful, learning to read is like getting a piece of her lost wings back. But when Handful gets caught writing in the dirt, she's whipped badly, and Sarah's father bans her from his library. Handful's mother, Charlotte, also faces terrible punishments, like being forced to stand on one leg for hours for stealing. Through all this, Charlotte starts sewing a story quilt, carefully stitching her family's memories and dreams into the fabric, a secret way to keep their history alive. Act 2. Paths diverge, dreams evolve. As Sarah gets older, her dreams of being a lawyer are crushed, and she feels very sad and lost. After a heartbreak, she finds a new path. Quakerism, a religion that believes everyone is equal, and women can be leaders and speakers. She decides to leave Charleston and move north, where she can finally pursue her education and speak her mind. Her brave sister, Nina, eventually joins her, and together they become powerful speakers against slavery and for women's rights, even though many people criticize them. Back in Charleston, Handful's mother, Charlotte, becomes even more rebellious. She makes a fake badge and starts earning money by hiring herself out, always planning for freedom. She even gets involved with Denmark West's big plan for a slave revolt, and Handful helps by sewing the secret list of names into Charlotte's story quilt. But the plan is discovered, Denmark West is caught and executed, and Charlotte disappears, leaving Handful behind. Handful herself endures the horrors of the workhouse, where she is cruelly injured on a treadmill. Years later, Charlotte returns with a surprise. Handful's younger sister, Sky. Handful realizes her mother has been trying to escape with Sky all this time, enduring terrible hardships. Act 3. Soaring to Freedom. Sarah, hearing about the dangers Handful and Sky are in, knows she has to return to Charleston. She bravely tries to convince her family to sell Handful and Sky to her so she can set them free. This causes a huge fight with her family, and Sarah is even told she's not welcome in Charleston anymore because of her anti-slavery beliefs. But Sarah doesn't give up. She secretly helps Handful and Sky make their own escape plan. They put on special clothes, disguise themselves, and with Charlotte's precious story quilt and saved money, they sneak onto a steamboat headed north. It's a nerve-wracking journey, but they make it. This is the ultimate invention of wings, not magic ones, but wings of courage, resilience, and hope. They are finally on their way to a new life, to a place where they can be truly free, carrying their family's story and their mother's spirit with them. This book is filled with powerful messages and secret meanings. One of the biggest ideas is freedom. Not just freedom from slavery, but also Sarah's freedom to learn, to speak, and to choose her own life. Both Handful and Sarah are fighting for their own kind of liberty. Another huge theme is the power of voice. Sarah struggles with a stammer, but eventually finds her strong voice to speak out. Handful uses reading and writing to find her voice, and Charlotte uses her amazing quilts to tell her story without words. It shows us how important it is to speak your truth. And of course, there's sisterhood and friendship. The special, complicated bond between Sarah and Handful, and the strong teamwork between Sarah and Nina show how much people need each other to face big challenges. Now for some cool symbols. Wings and flying. Remember Handful's mama telling her about the African people who could fly? This is a huge symbol for freedom, hope, and rising above what holds you down. The black triangles in Charlotte's quilts are even called blackbird wings. The quilts, Charlotte's story quilt, is like a secret book, telling her family's history and struggles. It's a way to keep memories alive and pass on hope when reading and writing are forbidden. Sarah's silver button. Sarah keeps a special silver button hidden. It represents her secret dreams of becoming a lawyer and later a minister, her personal symbol of ambition and defiance. The copper bathtub. Handful secretly bathes in Sarah's fancy copper tub. This seems like a small act, but it's a powerful moment of her claiming a forbidden privilege a baptism into her own worth. The cane. Sarah's mother uses a gold-tipped cane to control her slaves. Later, Handful uses her own wooden cane because of her injured leg. What was once a symbol of harsh control becomes Handful's tool for movement and determination. This book has so many powerful lines. Here are two that really stick with me. 1. Handful's mama says, "Your granny mama saw it for herself. She say they flew over trees and clouds. She say they flew like blackbirds. When we came here, we left that magic behind." What it means. This quote is so important because it introduces the idea of wings and flying as a symbol of freedom. Handful's mother tells her this story to remind her that her people once had a kind of magic, a true freedom that was taken away. It's not about real flying, but about the spirit of freedom and hope that lies within them even when they are enslaved. It sets up the whole journey of the book, showing what Handful and her family are fighting to get back. 2. Sarah Grimké says, "All I ask of our brethren is that they will take their feet from off our necks." What it means? Wow, this is a strong one. Sarah says this when men try to tell her and Nina that women shouldn't speak publicly or fight for their own rights. She's basically saying, just let us be free. Stop holding us down, and we can do so much more for everyone. This quote shows how much Sarah has grown, from a stammering girl who felt silenced to a brave woman who isn't afraid to demand basic rights, not just for herself, but for all women and all people who are being oppressed. It's a powerful call for justice and equality. So, what can we learn from The Invention of Wings? Your voice matters. Even if you're shy or people tell you to be quiet, your thoughts and feelings are important. Sarah learned to overcome her stammer and speak out, and Handful used her wits and her mother's quilts to tell her story. It shows that there's always a way to make your voice heard, whether it's through words, art, or just standing up for what you believe. Fighting for good is hard, but worth it. Both Sarah and Handful faced so many dangers, heartbreaks, and criticisms. But they kept going because they knew what they were fighting for was bigger than themselves. Sometimes, doing the right thing means going against what everyone else expects, and that takes huge courage. Empathy is a superpower. The book shows us how important it is to try and understand what other people are going through, even if their lives are very different from yours. Sarah, born into a life of privilege, still saw the pain of Handful's life. It teaches us to look past our own worlds and recognize the humanity in everyone. Find your own wings. Just like Handful's ancestors, we all have a longing for freedom and purpose. This book encourages us to figure out what those wings mean for us, what dreams we want to chase, what injustices we want to fight, and how we want to live a life that feels true to ourselves. My personal takeaway is that true freedom isn't just about what others allow you to do. It's about what you choose to believe about yourself and your right to be fully human. And sometimes, you have to defy the whole world to claim that truth. Now, while The Invention of Wings is a beautiful and inspiring story, it's also important to remember that it's a work of historical fiction. This means that while it's inspired by real people and events, the writer, Sue Monkhead, also imagined a lot of it. For example, the deep friendship and the entire story of Hetty Handful is mostly made up by the author. The real Hetty was given to Sarah but sadly died young, and not much is known about her. Also, Sarah Grimké probably didn't have a stammer in real life, and some of the events, like Sarah's big confrontation with an officer, never actually happened as written in the book. The writer also changed some timelines, like when certain historical events took place. So, while the book gives us a wonderful story about these brave women, it's good to remember that it's a creative interpretation, and not every detail is a straight historical fact. It's a powerful, what-if story that helps us imagine the lives of people who were often silenced. This book made me think so much about courage and what it truly means to be free. It shows how even in the darkest times, the human spirit can find a way to soar. So, here's my question for all of you. What kind of wings will you invent for yourself in your life? What truth do you feel is important to speak out loud? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, please give this video a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to my channel for more exciting book adventures. Thanks for watching and keep on flying.